Welcome back to Kansas City on a beautiful but breezy first Sunday in November. Let's check in downstairs with Evan Washburn. Evan.
Well, Greg, the Chiefs has the #1 pass defense in the NFL, and that secondary gets their best player back today, an all-pro safety, Eric Berry, who missed the last 5 games with an ankle sprain. Now, Andy Reid told us they're going to ease him back, let him get caught up to the speed of the game. So more of a limited role for Berry. And a note from the Jets sideline, Geno Smith has been deactivated today, still dealing with lingering shoulder issues from that injury last week. So Matt Sims, who played in 3 games last year, will back up Michael Vick. Greg?
All right, Evan, thank you. The Jets have won the toss, and they will defer, which means the Kansas City Chiefs will get their hands on the football first. Knile Davis is deep. Returned to kickoff 99 yards a week ago against St. Louis. And we told you it was breezy down on the field. Nick Folk will have to re-tee. You said the wind can really be tricky in this stadium.
Well, with the way that the stadium is shaped, when you have the wind, the flags at the top of the stadium will go one direction. The problem is it scoops. It really scoops with the stadium and almost kicks the wind the other direction down on the field, and it plays on the end. So the 20-yard lines in are affected differently than the middle of the field.
So Folk will get an assist on the hold, and here we go. Davis will run this one out. Across the 15 and out close to the 20-yard line. Brought down by T.J. Graham. And at quarterback for the Chiefs, Alex Smith comes off as efficient a day as you can ask from your signal caller last week. 25 of 29 for 223 yards and a franchise record of better than 85% completion percentage.
Well, and on the year, he's done such a great job of protecting the football. We talked in the open about the 3 interceptions in week 1, but since then, only the 1 turnover throwing the ball from the pocket.
So from the 19, Jamaal Charles breaking free around the right side and out of bounds close to a first down at about the 30-yard line. Antonio Allen knocked him out. The offensive line boasts an outstanding left tackle in Eric Fisher, the #1 pick overall back in 2013. And the Chiefs' leading receiver, second-year tight end Travis Kelce, who's caught 28 passes, 3 of them for touchdowns. Charles and Anthony Sherman in the backfield behind Alex Smith. 2nd and 1, just shy of a first down. And Smith going to throw over the middle and through behind his intended receiver, A.J. Jenkins.
Alex Smith's pass intended for
on the Jets' defensive line, Muhammad Wilkerson led the Jets last season with 10.5 sacks. His 4.5 lead the team this season. One of the defensive leaders, linebacker Demario Davis, in his 3rd year out of Arkansas State. And injuries continue to hit the Jets secondary. Rookie Marcus Williams starts for Darren Walls at cornerback. 3rd and 1, Jamaal Charles gets the call, tries to break outside, cutting back, and he has enough for the first down just across the 30-yard line. Quinton Coples with the stop, but not early enough to prevent the first down.
On good pursuit by the Jets, preventing Charles from bouncing to the outside to pick up even more yards, causing him to cut back. And on the cutback, he was able to find that crease, as you said, Greg, to pick up the first down.
Jamaal Charles, Kansas City's career rushing leader, starting the day with 6,186. Going to give it to Charles again. And Charles bulls his way to the 35-yard line. Let's go green, shall we?
Well, there's a staple of the West Coast offense with crossing route and drag routes by the underneath receivers. Here, D'Anthony Thomas is coming in motion. You see the defenders last week of St. Louis jumping this route, but Andy Reid always has some twists and turns to this offense, and he gets a return route by D'Anthony, and he's able to pick up the first down by moving to the outside. So even though both teams run similar offenses, Andy's known to put a few wrinkles in.
On the play fake, Smith throws outside, and that's complete for a first down across the 40 to 43-yard line. Dwayne Bowe, the 8th-year man out of LSU, and that's another Chiefs first down.
That 8-yard completion good for a Kansas City.
Well, the Chiefs talked to us about the matchups on the outside. They feel good, even though the receivers haven't been a big part of the passing game. Most of their passing has been done with the tight ends and with the running backs, but they want to get the receivers involved more because they feel they have a good matchup on the outside. The problem with that is having time against that front seven that the Jets like to bring pressure with.
3 tight ends on the field, and straight ahead is Niall Davis, and Davis across the 45 to the 47-yard line. You mentioned those wide receivers. There isn't a single wide receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs with a touchdown catch this year.
And that's a major problem, especially when you get down in the red zone. You're hoping that your receivers can get some big plays up the field and get those receptions. And when you get down in the red zone, if the defense can focus in solely on the tight ends and the running back, that creates a problem. And look for that to change today. As I said, the Chiefs feel good about their matchups on the outside today.
2nd and 6. On the slant, that's complete to Bo. Bo into Jet territory and down at the 40-yard line for another first down.
He was tackled by Marcus
Talking to
Williams.
Jason Bateman last night, he was talking to us about how quickly Alex Smith gets the ball out of his hands, and we said, how are you going to put pressure on him when he gets the ball out of his hands quick? He said, well, all you can do is just hope that you can get him to hang on to the ball. You have to work through the progressions, because as we've seen 3 throws right now, and everything is coming out under 3 seconds. He had a hitch, he had a slant, and over the middle to A.J. Jenkins that was incomplete.
The give is to DeAnthony Thomas, and DeAnthony Thomas with running room inside the 15-yard line. The rookie from Oregon, the Chiefs' 4th-round draft pick.
He's tackled by Antonio Allen.
DeAnthony will be coming from the right side of the screen. You'll see him here. He's coming in motion. They're just going to hand him. Basically, it's a wide receiver sweep. So you have Jamaal Charles in the backfield going one direction, but you quickly hand the ball off to DeAnthony going the other direction. You can see the speed and the burst that he has, able to cut it inside and pick up big yards.
Chiefs continue their march down the field. The gives to Charles. And Charles to about the 11. David Harris with the tackle.
Harris, gain of 3 yards on the play.
And it's interesting, we talked about the first 15 plays that Andy Reid likes to run, and we talked with Jason Bateman about the first 15 that Andy Reid likes to run because of their familiarity and background with each other. But you can see just in this opening drive that Kansas City is focused on the running game. They've found different ways to run the football, and even though the Jets are stout up front to stop the run, the Chiefs are trying to send a message with their game plan that they will continue to try and establish it.
Jets with the 3rd worst red zone defense in the league. Alex Smith pulls it down, now looks the other way, inside the 5, looking for the end zone is A.J. Jenkins, and he's going to be marked down at about the half-yard line.
Alex Smith's pass complete to A.J. Jenkins.
Alex Smith had an awful lot of time.
Well, and A.J. really wanted that first wide receiver touchdown. He did everything he could to try and get into the end zone. Just contact was made. You see his knees bounce on the ground a couple times prior to breaking the plane, but the defense touched him before he was able to cross the line.
And now the nose tackle, number 92, Dontari Poe, has checked in and sets himself up as a blocker ahead of Jamaal Charles. 1st and goal, Kansas City. Didn't get there.
Jamaal Charles, the ball carrier.
It'll be 2nd and goal.
Well, and there's not a whole lot of things that Jamaal Charles does wrong, but you're going to watch Big Poe coming through to the outside. And watch Jamaal, he jumps to the inside instead of following those big bodies to the outside. He sees penetration coming through, and he tries to cut back inside where he doesn't have as much help.
Michael Vick waiting his chance. 6-minute drive, 12th play. 2nd and goal. Charles again, leaping to the end zone. Touchdown.
This time the run is, everything is going to the right. And instead of following the blockers to the right like last time, he does the same thing. He reads it and cuts it back against the grain. He jumps slightly, but he's able to keep his feet working and cross the goal line.
The rookie Cairo Santos, a perfect 20 out of 20 on extra points this season. he makes it 21 for 21. 8:38 to play in the first quarter. The Chiefs take the opening kickoff and march it down the field for a 7-0 lead. Michael Vick on the field next. Last week, St. Louis jumped to a 7-0 lead on the Chiefs. They answered with 34 straight points. Add the touchdown today, they have scored 41 points unanswered. And here's Percy Harvin at the 6. Harvin trying to reach the outside, will be pulled down short of the 30-yard line.
Percy Harvin on the return.
So Michael Vick and the New York Jet offense on the field right after this. One of the great tailgating stops in the National Football League just outside Arrowhead Stadium, and Damon Harrison, fine nose tackle for the New York Jets, taking a walk to the locker room. We'll check on him and bring the information to you when we have it. Meanwhile, Vick to throw down the sideline. It is incomplete. Pass intended for Eric Decker.
Michael Vick's pass was intended for
Vick is the former number 1 overall pick back in 01. Makes his first start at quarterback as a Jet. Came on in relief of Geno Smith a month ago in San Diego, again last week against Buffalo. No one really surprised that he's in the starting lineup today.
Well, we saw on that graphic the turnovers that took place, and Michael talked about doing a better job, and just the week of practice he's had getting back under his feet and feeling comfortable behind center again.
On 2nd and 10, this is Chris Ivory, and Ivory looking for running room and doesn't find much of it. On the Jets' offensive line, 3-time Pro Bowler DeBrickashaw Ferguson will find himself opposite Justin Houston much of this day. And in the backfield, the guy you just saw, Chris Ivory, spearheading the Jets' 4th-ranked rushing attack. He started this day with 475 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. And Vick and the Jets now looking at a 3rd and 7. Bilal Powell in the backfield along with Vick. Vick runs out of time, tucks it and runs to the 35 and looking for the first down. He might have come up about a yard short or so. Out of bounds at the 38-yard line.
Was pushed out of bounds by Eric Berry.
Michael's looking to make the throw to his left and working the progression back across the field. There's a gap there on the backside. Justin Houston was up the field. They double teamed him to keep him pushing wide, and that opened up the lane for Michael Vick to take off and run.
About a yard short of the first down, so the punting unit will come on.
Nick Folk in punt, quickly in punt formation for New York.
And back at his own 15-yard line is DeAnthony Thomas.
DeAnthony Thomas.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
We were talking with Rex Ryan last night about the spate of trick plays that have hit around the NFL, and what did he say? Hey, my dad started that. He was the king of trick plays.
He was quick to come to his dad's defense and say on special teams, you know, Coach Fisher over there in St. Louis, he does a good job with the trick plays. He said, hey, he learned all those from my dad. So.
Quickly, barely gets it away. And a good one. Thomas back to his 12-yard line. And brought down short of the 30.
DeAnthony Thomas on the return.
7 minutes exactly to play in the first quarter. The Chiefs with the ball in a 7-point lead. 7-0 Chief. Congratulations, of course, to the Kansas City Royals. Had this city on fire for the last several weeks. Kenrick Ellis, number 93, has replaced Damon Harrison in the middle of the line for the New York Jets. Smith with time, throwing, got his man wide open. Travis Kelce, and Kelce knocked out of bounds. They'll mark him out at about the 37-yard line of the Jets. And Smith had all kinds of time to throw.
Well, and that's what a good running game does, and that's what quick passes do. As a defense, you get settled in. He does a quick play fake, so the Jets are pursuing Jamaal Charles on the run, and then he fakes the quick throw to Dwayne Bowe, which opens up the crease down the field for a nicely thrown ball by Alex Smith to Travis Kelce.
And Damon Harrison, you see him coming back onto the field. First down, Chiefs. And Smith, again with time now, pulls it down, pitches it out, and is that a lateral or an incomplete pass?
There's a flag on the play.
Jamal Charles covered it, and we have a penalty marker down in the secondary.
That's one of those plays that some quarterbacks you expect it from, but from Alex Smith, he's normally very secure with the football in his decision making.
Our referee today is Tony Correnti.
Holding, defense number 20. As a run in and behind the line of scrimmage, penalty enforced in the previous spot. 5 yards, automatic first down.
Kyle Wilson guilty of the hold.
Number 79 has reported as eligible. Number 79.
Right there, you're going to see
First and
he
10
just tackles
Chiefs at the
Dwayne Bowe.
32-yard line.
Yeah, that's not a hold so much as it is a tackle. It's an outright takedown.
Well, and Alex, after he pitched the ball and realized it was a fumble, he immediately turned the officials looking for a holding call, and he saw it.
Chiefs 8 first downs to none for the Jets, and this is Charles. Charles looks for running room, cuts it back inside the 25 to almost the 20-yard line, and chalk that up as another first down for Kansas City.
Tackled by Sheldon Richardson, gain of 12 yards on
The push of the left side of the offensive line for the Chiefs,
for a Kansas City Chiefs.
creating space, and Jamal is pressing it to the outside, but with that cutback,
First and 10 Chiefs at the New York 21-yard
that zone
line.
blocking, finding a crease and just going with his lineman, rolling with that wave of players.
5.5 to play in a first quarter that's been dominated by the Chiefs. Charles lost yardage on the play. Muhammad Wilkerson with the hit, and let's get our first NFL Today update of the day to New York. JB Boomer Esiason.
Tannehill perfect on this drive.
That's right, 6 for 6, 63 yards, including the 6-yard TD pass to tight end Charles Clay. Mike Wallace called the offense out in the week prior to this game, and Ryan Tannehill's trying to get something done here.
Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, and Evan Washburn.
All right, guys, thank you. Ryan Tannehill's a perfect example of a quarterback playing with some newfound confidence, isn't he?
Well, he has, and the patience they've shown with him, that Bill Lazor, the new offensive coordinator, implementing that game plan that works well with him.
Smith, no pass rush to speak of whatsoever. And Smith now running, throwing, wide open on the near side of the field, complete to Anthony Fasano. And Fasano reaching for the first down.
This pass complete to Anthony Fasano.
Looks like he'll be marked about a yard short.
The previous play, I mentioned that Alex Smith did something uncharacteristic with the football, this time taking good care of the
Gain of
football,
10 yards on the play.
working and buying time in the backfield with the protection that he was provided, and find Fasano on the far side of the field.
12-yard line.
So now 3rd and 1. And the numbers heavily lopsided toward the Chiefs. Charles breaking through to the 5, to the 2.
Jamal Charles. He was tackled by Dewan Landry.
The vision and speed that Jamal Charles shows here, the speed and the power to get through the arm tackle, but then that cut to make, you saw 3 defenders thinking he's bouncing to the outside. Right there, they're all sticking their arms out. You're not gonna stop Jamal Charles with an arm, especially with that change of direction, that speed he's able to have.
Boy, every Chief we talked to yesterday, Trent, they're raving about this defensive front of the New York Jets, but it hasn't shown anything so far. Niall Davis in the backfield. 1st and goal. Smith throwing and tipped and flipped and then caught for a touchdown. Fasano.
Fasano is going to be sitting on the ground, and the ball lands right in his lap. Calvin Pace is the one that jumps up and tips the ball. Fasano is going to be in pass protection. You'll see him here, and as the ball's tipped, Calvin Pace comes off the right edge. He's going to be the one that tips the ball up in the air. Fasano just turns around. He's down here on the ground. He's the one that catches it. And before he's touched, he lunges for the end zone. I can honestly say, and I was never fortunate enough to get a touchdown pass like that.
That's an unbelievable indicator that things just aren't going your way if you're the New York Jets.
Yeah, you got to be scratching your head right there if you're Rex Ryan and the defense.
Tony Corrente will take a look at it. Looked pretty good from here.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon XLTE on America's largest, most reliable 4G LTE network. And by T. Rowe Price, understanding the connections of a complex global economy. Invest with confidence.
Touchdown.
So Tony Corrente rules that play was a touchdown. Let's go to New York. Mike Carey, our officiating expert. How'd you see it, Mike?
Well, Greg, I saw pretty much the same. Two things to think about. The touch was the knee down or the shin down. It's very difficult to tell from those angles that we have. So stands is the best call there. But one thing to remember, had that even been a lineman, since it had been touched, it would have been eligible for him to catch also.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. So Fasano got off the ground, and by the time he was touched, he was in the end zone. It's a 14-0 Kansas City lead. So Anthony Fasano with his second touchdown catch of the season, a 2-yarder, kind of a ping pong pass. It literally fell into his lap. 3:20 to play in a first quarter that has been all Kansas City. Their first 7 games, the Chiefs managed a total of 17 first quarter points. They have 14 here in the first quarter against the Jets. Percy Harvin. That's one short, and that comes down at about the 15-yard line and brought back by Jace Amaro, the tight end, and the Jets will have some decent starting position at about the 35, maybe the 36-yard line. A reminder, this week, Thursday Night Football takes you to the AFC North, where the Browns take on the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL's most hotly contested division. That's Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on NFL Network. Brian Hoyer going up against Andy Dalton. And here come the Chiefs fans. Vick under center. This is Ivory, and Ivory with a little bit of running room across the 40 and out to about the 42-yard line.
Well, it's important for the Jets to get something going. It's just been completely lopsided up until this point. Their first possession was a 3 and out, and the Chiefs had put together 2 long scoring drives.
Yeah, that was only the Jets' 4th play from scrimmage, and here we are with 2:50 to play in the first quarter. Second and 5. Vick throwing and got his man up over the middle. That is Percy Harvin, and that's good for a first down. So the Jets get a first down on the board. You asked Michael Vick if he and Percy Harvin had gotten some extra work in this week.
Well, they had put extra work in the after practices, but also just the reps they're getting during practice. With Michael Vick being the starter now, he's obviously getting more snaps under center, and Percy Harvin being in his second week with the Jets, they've settled in on where they want him to play. You can see offensive coordinator Marty Morningwig had a chance to talk to him and just how much he wants to get Percy involved today.
Vick on first down, and this is Ivory, and Ivory can't get out of the grasp of a couple of those defensive linemen. Josh Mauga and James Michael Johnson. Hey, a reminder, CBS Sports app now has the fastest scores. Download it today. Be the first to get your football updates and scores right on your phone. There is Geno Smith. Not going to play today due to a shoulder injury. Straight ahead is Bilal Powell, and Powell inside the 40 for a first down.
Bilal Powell, the ball carrier.
So Marty Morningweg shaking up the playbook a little bit.
Well, the Jets want to run the football, and with just similar to what we saw with the Chiefs on their last possession, doing some misdirection with receivers in motion, running backs going different directions. Marty took a play out of Andy Reid's playbook in terms of just giving some confusion for the defense, so it's not just a straight handoff and they know where the target is.
First down. Vick, quick pass inside, and that's going nowhere. Harvin made the catch, but Philip Gaines, the rookie cornerback from Rice, was all over it.
And Gaines is a guy that possesses a lot of speed. He's been playing nickel and slot defense for the Chiefs for most of the season, and they're really impressed with his speed, but he has some growing to do in terms of his coverability. But you can see there, he was dialed in on what Harvin was trying to do with that quick screen and responded quickly.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. Ivory. Inside the 40, and that figures to be the last play of the first quarter. Heavily weighted to the team in red and white. The Chiefs lead it 14-0. This is the NFL on CBS. Back in Kansas City for the start of the second quarter, and the game summary is nothing to shout about unless you're a Chiefs fan. 14-0.
And celebrate American Indian Heritage Month.
3rd and 8. Vick, running out of time, on the move, goes down at the 38-yard line. Justin Houston and Tamba Ali. And that will bring on the punting unit.
Ryan Quigley in punt formation for New York.
That was pretty good coverage in the secondary, Trent.
They did a nice job, and when talking with Justin Houston about that yesterday, we asked him about the pressure that he and Tamba are able to apply to quarterbacks, and he wanted to give all the credit to the coverage guys, and that was very nice of him considering the number of sacks that those two have applied all season long.
Quigley puts this one up, looking to drop it inside the 5, and the Jets can't keep it from going into the end zone for the touchback. So Alex Smith will come onto the field, and speaking of quarterbacks, Friday night we had the pleasure of sitting out in some chilly weather and watching T.J. Green go 6 of 9 for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rockhurst beat Kickapoo 41-0 to advance to the Missouri Class 6 District 4 Championship. I don't know who that kid is, but he can throw the football.
You guys snuck that in on me. How about it? He's gonna be thrilled with that. Yeah, they're playing well, but they got a big contest this week as they've made it to the quarterfinals.
All of age 17. He's fairly decent throwing arm.
He's doing all right. Yeah, he's working hard.
Jamal Charles nosing across the 20. 6 of 9 for 246 yards. That's obscene.
That's what you keep giving me a hard time, because I say, well, he's doing all right. But you know what? I'm proud of how hard he's worked, and it means something to him. So.
You and I have both seen some quarterbacks who couldn't go for that kind of yardage against no defense. 2nd and 8. Smith throwing, and a little miscommunication with Dwayne Bowe.
This pass intended for Dwayne Bowe.
And it'll be 3rd and 8.
He was covered by Antonio Allen. 3rd down and 8 from the 22-yard line.
Jamal Charles doing a nice job running the football. Already has 10 carries for 42 yards, and you can see the speed that he possesses, the patience that he possesses, but when he sticks his foot in the ground, he's able to make the cuts. This is getting it down inside the 2-yard line that set up the last touchdown on the season. 4.7 yards per carry, going against the 5th-ranked rush defense in the Jets, but already putting together, as I said, 42 yards on the ground.
3rd and 8. Smith throwing far side of the field, and Dwayne Bowe on the far side of the field and out of bounds for the first down at the 33.
He was pushed out of bounds by Kyle Wilson. That 11-yard
one hand, no problem.
For a Kansas City Chiefs.
Career reception number 500 for Dwayne Bowe, and he makes it look easy with the one-handed grab. Now, had he dropped that, you were like, well, get 2 hands up there, but he was able to secure it with the one and brought it in before as he got his feet down inbounds.
In an 8th season out of LSU, and a new set of downs for Smith and the Kansas City offense at the 33. Smith, short pass, crossing, Kelsey, and out of bounds across the 45 at the 47-yard line. Let's get another update from New York once again. JB and Boomer.
22-yard run by Tannehill sets this up.
That's Lamar Miller. He goes in from 2 yards out. Miami takes a 14-0 lead. Ryan Tannehill, 9 of 10, 96 yards and a TD pass.
Getting it done indeed, Boomer. Back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, JB, thank you. First down for the Chiefs. They are on the move again. This is Charles. And a little tussle further downfield.
Charles, the ball carrier.
Between a Jet and a Chief. A.J. Jenkins, number 15, in a tussle with cornerback Antonio Allen.
Tackled by Damon Harrison. Gain of 4 yards on the play.
Well, that happened 15 yards away from where the action was happening. So the offensive line, right side of the offensive line for the Chiefs did a good job of pushing that pile, able to get 4 yards, and there really was nothing there to happen. It was just a group effort, as I said, pushing that pile, and then Jenkins drew everybody's attention down the field with he and Antonio Allen mixing it up.
Incidentally, number 94, Damon Harrison, back in the middle of the Jet lineup at nose tackle, and this is Charles. Charles escaping a couple of tackles. And will be marked down at the Jet 45-yard line.
He was tackled by Jaquan Jarrett.
You know, I think we were both interested, Trent, in talking with Rex Ryan last night to find out how he was feeling. You know, take the measure of his team, take their temperature, and see how they're faring in this 7-game losing streak.
Well, and he just talked about, the fact he doesn't even think about being 1-7. It's about getting ready for the next game. He doesn't want to look back at what's happened in the previous 8 games. It's about getting the team ready to beat the Chiefs today and focus on that.
On 3rd and 2, Smith going to throw it away.
Today's pass intended for Anthony Sherman.
So that'll bring out Dustin Colquitt, the punter.
When you're sitting at 4th and 2 and you cross the midfield, there's some people that may be out there saying, do you go for this on 4th down? I think with the way that the Chiefs are playing defensively, the way that Dustin Colquitt is so effective at putting the ball not only inside the 20 but inside the 10-yard line, this is the only decision Andy Reid can make.
301 career punts inside the 20. 35 of them last year, tied for the best in the NFL. This one not very good. Lost this one up. And caught by Jeremy Curley at about the 19-yard line. 11:06 to play in the first half. Before we bury Dustin Colquitt completely on that punt, you said the wind in the stadium can be tricky, Trent.
Well, it can, and you could tell Dustin normally is good at getting it inside the 10 from that part of the field, and the wind just held it up.
This is Chris Johnson with running room on the left side, and Johnson out to about the 40-yard line. He'll be marked down exactly at the 40, and it's a first down.
He was tackled by
Chris Johnson still has a nice burst. You see, he's going to get the ball back here, and he's going to twist back with the blocking scheme up front. Hand off to the right, and he just is able to cut it back, get into the open field, and he still has that burst to be able to pick up big yards.
Now Michael Vick flanks to the top of the screen. And the direct snap to Chris Johnson, and Johnson spinning up the middle for about 3 yards to the 43-yard line. Hey, tomorrow on NCIS Los Angeles, a new case opens old wounds. Don't miss a dramatic new NCIS Los Angeles on its new night tomorrow at 10, 9 Central only. CBS.
2nd down and 6 from the 44-yard line.
2nd and 7. Vick spinning out of the pocket, looking, pulls it down, and he's going to run. And out of bounds at about midfield and close to another first down.
When that pickup really falls on the shoulders of Philip Gaines, he's the one that has outside contain. After Vick's able to get outside, they double team Justin Houston to allow him to get to the outside. Gaines is coming up, and he's going to be in position to knock the ball. You'll see Gaines come into the picture here. Here he is right there as he's jumping up. He's in position to make that tackle. Instead, he falls for the pump fake, jumps in the air, and Vick's able to get around him and pick up the first down.
Johnson. Johnson bursting through for another first down at the Kansas City 40.
Ball carrier.
Ron Parker making the tackle.
He was tackled by Ron Parker. Gain of 10 yards on the play.
They've done a nice job running the football since Chris Johnson's come into the football game. We talked to the Chiefs leading up to this, and the player they were most concerned with was Chris Ivory. And you know you'd like to bring in Chris Johnson as a change-up back, but it looks like this series they're going to lean on Chris Johnson, see what they can get out of him.
Johnson again behind Vick on first down. Johnson to the right side for about 5. Chris Johnson showing shades of the running back that gained 2,006 yards back in 09.
Well, we still have some explosiveness, and you can see the different stats coming up on the screen comparing the passing game, running game, and so far Eric Decker not even involved.
Not yet. And he won't be involved on this play either. On the sideline, Bilal Powell taking the snap. And Michael Vick, and now a timeout is called by Kansas City as Vick is flanked to the near side of the field. Timeout, Chiefs, 8:16 to play in the first half. That's Union Station here in Kansas City, celebrating 100 years. You said the Chiefs make use of that.
They did this year for their Red Friday to kick off the season. They held the Red Friday celebration at Union Station.
Second down and 5 from the Chiefs' 35-yard line.
Meanwhile, back down on the field here at Arrowhead Stadium, the Jets with a 2nd and 5. Bilal Powell. And not much of a gain there. Let's check in once again with JB and Boomer in New York.
Foles out, Sanchez in.
Yet all he does is complete 3 of 3 passes, 69 yards, including this touchdown pass right there to Jordan Matthews. 14-7 Philadelphia on top. Mark Sanchez hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since December 2012.
We'll keep you updated on that Nick Foles injury. Back to Greg Gumbel.
A Mark Sanchez sighting. 3rd and 5. Vick throwing far side of the field. That's complete for a first down to Eric Decker, his first catch of the day.
Vick's pass complete to Eric Decker.
3rd and short up top. Ron Parker is giving him a big cushion considering all you need is 5 yards for the first down. Eric Berry in because it's nickel. They're going to substitute him in some different nickel packages and dime packages, trying to undercut that route. Just too short of a distance to be able to make that play.
So Vick and the Jets on the move as Geno Smith looks on. Chris Johnson in the backfield, first down. Johnson for a couple inside the 25-yard line. Dontari Poe with the tackle. Andy Reid was Michael Vick's head coach back at the Eagles from 09 to the 2012 season. He threw for 52 touchdowns, 30 interceptions over that span, and enjoyed his best year in the NFL in 2010. 30 total touchdowns and 6 picks as the Eagles went to the playoffs. And Andy Reid talking to him. Lots of fond feelings for Michael Vick. 2nd and 6. Vick, deep drop, throwing. Out of the backfield is Johnson, and Johnson reaching for the first down marker. And he will have it, it would appear.
And this just shows you the patience that Michael Vick has grown as a quarterback. He's looking up the field. He wants to take a big hit up the field. Percy Harvin's on a deep post route on the left-hand side. Instead of trying to force it up the field, just take your check down, let the back pick up the first down, and good decision by Michael Vick.
Pretty good drive by the Jets so far. First down, the 17-yard line. Johnson. A yard, if that. Looks like he was wrestled down at about the line of scrimmage by Dontari Poe and Josh Mauga. Mauga, the ex-New York Jet. He's with them the last 4 years.
No gain on the play.
Well, Mauga dealt with injuries the last 2 years in New York after spending those first few years with the Jets. Dealt with injuries in 2012, 2013. Got a fresh start here in Kansas City and has made the most of it, filling in for injured Derek Johnson.
On 2nd and 9, Vick under pressure, on the move, throws, and that's complete. And Percy Harvin is run out of bounds at about the 15-yard line, so not much gain there.
Vick's pass complete to Percy.
They're trying to get an isolated route on
He was tackled by Tamba Hali.
the right side. The Chiefs do a good job of undercutting the route, not having anywhere for Michael to go. It was really a one-man route, so Michael buying time with his feet and flipping it out to Harvin just to pick up any yards at all.
3rd and 8. Vick with time, throwing, threads the needle inside the 10-yard line to Jeremy Curley.
Vick's pass complete to Jeremy Curley.
And that will
He was
be,
tackled by Eric Berry.
let's see, right at the 7-yard line.
First and goal.
And it'll be first and goal.
Chiefs 7-yard line.
The Chiefs bring pressure from the outside, but they give room for Vick to step up in the pocket. He buys time and has the time. Good protection, allowing him to get that ball to Curley and ultimately pick up the first down.
Chris Johnson in the backfield with Vick. Johnson nowhere to go and lost yardage on the play.
Chris Johnson, the ball carrier. He was tackled by
This has been a 7-minute, 13-play drive for the Jets.
Well, that has been some of the criticism of Chris Johnson in recent years. Is he's indecisive. He's trying to make too many moves because of that speed. He wants to make that extra move, and sometimes when there's nowhere to go, you just need to put your shoulder down and try and push the pile and get back to the line of scrimmage. Sometimes is the best play.
Lost 2 on the play. 2nd and goal now from the 9. And penalty markers fly, and this is going to be, looks like this is going to be against Kansas City.
Neutral zone infraction, number 96, defense. This penalty be assessed half the distance to the goal.
That's Jay Howard, and it'll
Second
cost
down.
the Chiefs half the distance.
Right here, you're going to see Howard. You're going to see Cologne tap the center, and that's when Howard flinches.
Chris Ivory in the backfield. 2nd and goal just inside the 5. And Ivory squeezes through to about the 3. And Dontari Poe with the stop. It'll be 3rd and goal.
He was tackled by Dontari Poe.
Well, I think now you've got to do what Michael Vick does best, and you've got to be able to move him around in the pocket. I know that eliminates the full field read, but you've got to put the threat of Michael Vick's feet into the fear into the defense that he could potentially run the ball. So look for him to roll out one direction or another. Make it a dual threat play for him.
3rd and goal. Vick with time. Pulls it down. Now throws. Touchdown.
Touchdown, New York.
Eric Decker on the receiving end.
Michael Vick does a nice job with his patience, has time in the pocket to go through his progression, go through his reads. Eric Decker on an inside route is able to escape and get away from gains, be right there at the line of scrimmage, and Vick with a nice release, quick release to get it to him for the touchdown.
Nice drive by the Jets, culminating in the touchdown pass to Eric Decker. Nick Folk for the extra point. And it is good. 2:09 to play in the first half. The Jets cut the Chiefs' lead in half. Vick, his first TD pass of the season, 14-7 KC. Nice drive of 81 yards, close to 9 minutes in duration, 15 plays. And Vick with the touchdown pass to Eric Decker.
Well, that's exactly what the Jets needed, that 9-minute drive. After not having much success in the first quarter, completely coming out and dominating that drive, putting together, as you said, we talked about 9 minutes, converting third downs, being effective, running the ball on first down, and accuracy from Vic in the passing game.
Actually doing a lot of things right on offense.
Well, you know, you come out and you start as slow as the Jets did, just the resiliency that this team has showed to come back and fight there in the second quarter.
DeAnthony Thomas going to bring this one out of the end zone and has some running room. Thomas going to get past Folk and brought down inside the 30-yard line. Kyle Wilson finally tracked him down. 78 yards. And DeAnthony Thomas was this close to breaking it. Our reminder, coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. JB and company with the latest scores and highlights and a preview of Thursday Night Football on NFL Network. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Just under the 2-minute mark to play here in the first half. And the line of scrimmage, the Jet 29-yard line after the 78-yard kickoff return by DeAnthony Thomas. Over the middle, wide open at the 20-yard line is Anthony Fasano. Back to this kickoff. I was surprised, Trent, that they took it out from so deep in the end zone. You said not in Kansas City.
Well, Dave Toub talks about the aggressiveness, and what happens here is he's going to come up and bounce it to the outside, but watch the 3 defenders that I circled. They're going to get out of their lanes. They cross the face of their blockers, and that opens up a lane for DeAnthony to set up his blockers, get to the outside, and find a crease. And Dave Toub, the special teams coordinator, Greg, is very aggressive. He tells his guys, if you catch it in the field of play, go ahead and bring it out.
Smith throwing. Complete to Thomas. And Thomas inside the 15 to about the 12. Special teams coordinator Dave Toub. That's a great philosophy to have when it works.
Well, and he had a great returner in Chicago. He was there with Hester and then came over, and he's had that same aggressive nature. And you look at the punt return game is leading the National Football League, and last week Niall Davis had a 99-yard kickoff return. So that aggressiveness has worked for his style of coaching.
Smith, and out of the backfield, Jamal Charles couldn't hold on. That's incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Nice play call here. You're going to see Jamal Charles come out of the backfield. They're going to clear this out over here, and this is going to be a walk-in if Jamal Charles is able to bring it in. He tries catching it with one hand. He's got 2 blockers out in front. I maybe was a little aggressive saying it was a walk-in, but he would have had a good chance of getting in there with, but it would have been down around the 5-yard line before he had first contact.
You leaning on all your speed from your youth. Oh, that's a gimme.
That's a walk-in.
That's a gimme.
It was me imagining I had the speed of Jamal Charles as a walk-in.
3rd and 5. Smith, straight drop this time, throwing end zone, touchdown. Kelsey.
Travis Kelce's going to be right here, and I want Fasano's going to come down and sit in the screen. Kelsey's going to go over the top, and that's exactly what Alex Smith is reading. He wants to see this is a layered route. You're going to put them at different levels, and as a quarterback, you're just reading those. As soon as he sees Landry jump Fasano, he knows he's laying it to the back line, and that's right where Travis Kelce is.
The extra point is good. What a dagger to the heart of the Jets after they come back to cut the Kansas City lead in half in the final seconds of the first half. Smith to Kelsey, 21-7 Chiefs. Now a reminder, JB and the guys standing by in New York for the Verizon Halftime Report. Scores, highlights, and a preview of Thursday Night Football on NFL Network coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. 39 seconds to play in the first half. Percy Harvin in the end zone awaits the kick. And he'll bring this one from 8 yards deep. Right up the middle. Harvin on the move. Harvin breaking up. Still on his feet. Penalty markers fly.
Percy Harvin on the return. There are multiple flags on the play.
There's a couple flags thrown on the play.
And here's Tony Correnti.
During the return of the kick, tripping receiving team number 5. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Cairo Santos, the kicker.
Tripping on the kicking team, the 10-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. First down.
So they'll tack that on, and this will be terrific field position for the New York Jets.
There's Cairo Santos. He wants no part of making the tackle, so.
So in effect, what he did was prevent a touchdown.
He did, and he wanted no part of being a part of that tackle, and it did ultimately save the touchdown. So it was a smart decision, but as a soccer player from Brazil, that was a little more comfortable for him to try and do that than to lower his shoulder.
Cairo Santos, all 5'8", 160 pounds of him. 31 seconds to play in the first half, and the Jets from the Kansas City 32. Vick throwing to this side. Harvin straight ahead, inside the 25. And a timeout is called by Rex Ryan on the far side of the field. So the Jets use their first timeout here in the second half. Saturday, the SEC on CBS brings you the best games from the best conference, a day-night doubleheader. First up, Texas A&M taking on third-ranked Auburn, and then in prime time, number 6 Alabama, 19th-ranked LSU in a showdown at Death Valley. It all begins with Inside College Football and College Football Today live, 2:30 Eastern Time. So the Jets now with 24 seconds. Not really much time to run the football, is there, Trent?
No, and I think I anticipate the Chiefs bringing some pressure here. You don't want Michael Vick just standing back there trying to pick apart the defensive secondary.
Curley in motion, and now into the slot at the bottom of your screen. Vick under pressure and got rid of it before he went down, and let's see if he's going to be ruled down on the play.
They ruled it down as a sack, and Tony Correnti is winding the clock.
And Justin Houston as the Jets call a timeout. So Justin Houston, the NFL's leading sack leader, gets himself another one. 16 seconds on the clock.
Tony Correnti's the one that calls this play down. He's in the back, and he either signaled in the grasp or thought his knee was down before he was able to get that ball out.
2nd and 18. Gonna hand it off to Powell, and Powell bulls his way to about the 22. Jets with one timeout remaining, and Rex Ryan gonna let the clock wind down a little bit before he calls that timeout to stop the clock.
Gain of 7 yards.
So Nick Folk in the field goal unit will come onto the field.
And really, Greg, it's been a story of 2 different quarters. I mean, that first quarter was completely dominated by the Chiefs' offense. Time of possession, yardage, everything, and the defense was getting 3 and outs and off the field. So coming out this second quarter, the Jets responded, put together that 9-minute drive, but then we had 2 big returns by both teams. So much different game between the 2 quarters.
And as you saw, the Jets will get the second half kickoff. They won the toss and deferred at the start of the game. Nick Folk.
Well, and that's why so many teams are deferring now when they get the toss. They're hoping for that double dip, the score at the end of the half and getting the ball coming out first the second half.
This will be a 39-yard field goal attempt. Kick on its way and looks good and is good. As time expires here in the first half, Folk. We had 17 combined points in the last 2 minutes and 9 seconds here. 21-10 Chiefs. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. In the first half, it was the Kansas City Chiefs getting started early behind Jamal Charles, a big kickoff return and a touchdown pass. It was 14-0 before the Jets finally got something going. Michael Vick throwing a touchdown pass to Eric Decker to cut the lead in half. However, it is at halftime a 21-10 Kansas City lead. As you look at the first half numbers, not so heavily weighted towards the Chiefs as it was after the first quarter. Greg Gumbel along with Trent Green. This game did a turnaround in the second quarter.
Well, tremendous job by the Jets, and I think it all started with Chris Johnson. They decided to make that change in the second quarter, gave Chris Johnson more opportunities, 7 rushes for 42 yards. So I anticipate seeing more of Chris Johnson in the second half. Give him the ball, let them continue to make some big chunks.
And as I mentioned to you, if you have a Michael Vick, does it make sense to have him run more than he has already?
Well, and I anticipate that as well. I think Michael Vick has done a nice job in the pocket, but I think you have to use or utilize that double threat that he has. Is such a weapon with his legs that you have to take advantage of it. Make that pressure on the defense to have to come up and commit to stopping his run, but that could potentially open things up down the field, and that's where Mike Vick's big arm comes into play.
I'm sitting here next to a Kansas City alumnus, and there are plenty of those in the house today. Priest Holmes being added to the Ring of Honor. Congratulations to him. Clark Hunt of the Kansas City Chiefs doing the honors down on the field. And gosh, there were an awful lot as Priest's name is displayed here in the stadium. A lot of great names and a lot of great names down on that field today.
Well, it is, and a number of not only Chief Hall of Famers, but National Football League Hall of Famers. Marcus Allen came back, and Willie Lanier and Curly Culp. It was a great weekend to see many of these former greats.
Jets get their hands on the ball first, and this one rolled along the ground. Might be a tribute to Percy Harvin. And it's brought back to about the 34-yard line by Zach Sudfeld, the tight end. Let's go down to Evan.
Well, guys, I caught up with both coaches. Andy Reid, who knows Michael Vick very well, felt like he really got comfortable in that second quarter. He said you have to limit the explosive plays. He's pleased with his offense, especially the balance they showed. Now, Rex Ryan said offensively he liked what he saw, but defensively they have to challenge some of the routes. He doesn't like how they're getting beaten underneath. He said, we're going to make a game of this, though, in this third quarter. Guys?
All right, Evan, thank you. So the Jets start from their own 33-yard line. And Vick giving to Ivory, and Ivory straight ahead.
Chris Ivory, the ball carrier.
Across the 35 to about the 37-yard line.
Tackled by Alan Bailey.
This is what the Jets did in the first half. A couple of punts and then a touchdown and a field goal.
Well, and you mentioned that 15-play drive, 9 minutes that took up, and they were able to convert it into a touchdown, but the Chiefs answered with such a big return by DeAnthony Thomas, ultimately getting into the end zone, touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. But then the Jets responded right before half, getting down and getting that late field goal.
On 2nd and 6, this is Ivory again. And Ivory just shy of the 40-yard line. And it's going to be 3rd and about 4.
From the 40-yard line, it's 3rd down.
So a little bit of a challenge right off the bat here at the top of the second half for Vick and the offense.
Well, and I want to see if they move him outside the pocket, get him on the move, and make that double threat a real asset here in the second half.
Vick on the move. Trying to turn the corner and diving across the 40, but short of a first down. Dontari Poe giving chase. That'll bring up the punting situation for the Jets.
Well, and he was on the move because of Tamba Hali. It wasn't a set play to break, contain, and get outside the pocket. It was Tamba Hali's pressure that made Vick get outside the pocket, and when it's not a set play, then that all of a sudden becomes the onus on the receivers to find an open lane and try and create some space. Michael Vick not able to get around the corner and get the first down, and now they're forced to punt.
DeAnthony Thomas back inside his own 15-yard line with blazing speed. We saw that in the first half. Turning the corner, slip down, gets up again, and makes it close to the 25-yard line. 13:06 to play. We're just underway here in the second half. 21-10 Chiefs. Bit of a first half explosion offensively for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're most in the first half this season.
24-yard line.
And the Chiefs now from their own 24-yard line. Charles. And Charles wrapped up at about the 25-yard line. Damon Harrison leading the way as you look at what the Chiefs did in the first half.
That's a pretty efficient first half when you look at 3 or 4 possessions converting for touchdowns. And even the possession that they had to punt was a 7-play, 35-yard drive. What slowed them down were the Jets putting together that nine-minute drive that they had in the second quarter.
Antonio Allen is not on the field for the Jets. Josh Thomas is in the secondary and out at corner. Smith throwing that side of the field. That's complete for a first down to Dwayne Bowe.
Dwayne Bowe.
And he was covered by Josh Thomas.
Well, we mentioned coming into the game the Chiefs felt good about their matchups on the outside, and now all of a sudden you have a Pro Bowler in Dwayne Bowe against Josh Thomas. And
First and 10 Chiefs at the Kansas City.
be interesting to see if they go after that matchup now that Antonio Allen's not in the game.
On first down, this is Charles, and Charles to about the 40-yard line. Let's go down to Evan.
Well, guys, you guys are talking about Antonio Allen. I checked in with the officials here at the Jets. There's no injury. He's on the sideline. He has his helmet. He's available to go back in. Just a quick update for you as you discuss Allen.
All right, Evan, thank you. Allen, the third-year defensive back out of South Carolina. Jets have just had all kinds of problems with their secondary.
Well, as they continue, and we see even more of that today, as they're trying to shuffle it even once again.
Thrown to that side of the field again. And Bowe couldn't hold on.
Smith's pass intended for Dwayne Bowe. He was covered by Josh
Once again,
Thomas.
Dwayne Bowe one-on-one with Josh Thomas. Just the
Third
stop
down and
route.
6 from the Chiefs' 41-yard line.
Looks like he got away with a push off there with his left arm extending and getting Thomas's body to turn, but not called, and ultimately drops the pass.
So now it's 3rd and 7. And Cyrus Gray is in and in the slot as a wide receiver. And movement on the offensive line.
Flags on the play.
False start, offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Mike McGlynn, the left guard.
They're going to call it on McGlynn here, left guard.
So now it'll be 3rd and 11.
That was one of those lineman tricks, do a little flinch to try and get the defense to go. The problem is the officials saw it.
3rd down and 11 from the Chiefs' 36-yard
They don't do that, do they?
There are lots of little tricks. Maybe the little hand flex, maybe a little elbow flex, something like that.
Smith, short pop over the middle. Charles looking for the first down, and he got it to about the 48-yard line.
Here's Jamal Charles in the backfield. You're going to see slants on the outside. They're trying to open it up, but he's going to come right over the middle and find an open crease in the middle. Third and long, you're able to dump it off, and you can see Dwayne Bowe on the top just is able to get his hands on the defender to break Jamal, give him a little bit of a crease where he's able to pick up the first down.
So new set of downs for the Chiefs. And Smith to throw. Hit as he let go of the ball. It's incomplete. Number 94, Damon Harrison, in on the quarterback.
Was ruled as an incomplete pass.
And we have a penalty marker down.
Illegal contact, defense number 22. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's the rookie Marcus Williams.
And we talk about the matchup going against Josh Thomas on the other side, who's filled in, but Marcus Wilson, the rookie college free agent out of North Dakota State, they really haven't attacked him much or gone after him much. So
10.5 to play here in the third quarter. Kansas City in jet territory. The fake, the throw to the outside, and there is the catch made by Albert Wilson. His first catch of the day puts the ball inside the 35-yard line. And another Kansas City first down.
Good job in protection. Quick throw by Alex Smith once again, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, working that right sideline against Josh Thomas.
Josh Thomas is feeling a little picked on.
He is.
Davis. And Davis is dragged down. This is an offense that doesn't throw the ball down the field, do they?
And that's, a lot of this West Coast offense is it's a lot of the drag, slants, hitches, 9 routes or stop routes that, that we've seen Dwayne Bowe catch a couple times, or at least a couple of attempts going that way. And then every now and then with the play action pass, you try and push it up the field or maybe get a tight end up the middle in a crease route in a cover 2 look. But most of the time the ball is going to come out pretty quickly.
Alex Smith has thrown the fewest pass attempts, over 15 yards in the NFL. The fake, the pass inside the 30 and ridden to the ground is Junior Hemingway. Let's get an update from New York. Once again, James Brown, Boomer Esiason.
Hey, Greg, Tannehill is sharp.
What a day Ryan Tannehill's having, guys. He's 21 of 29, 257 yards, 2 TDs. This touchdown pass right here to Rashard Matthews makes it 27-0. Dolphins over the San Diego Chargers, beginning of the second half.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
What is going on with the San Diego Chargers?
They were sitting at 5-1. Then they had the close loss to Kansas City, the loss to Denver, and now all of a sudden just getting blown out down to Miami.
3rd and 5. Smith, complete. Kelsey, first down, close to the 20-yard line. Dragged down by David Harris.
Talking about getting rid of the ball quickly, Alex Smith, just watch the clock on all these pass attempts, how quickly the ball is coming out of his hands. 1.3 seconds. That's just a quick slant route here. Here's even to the tight end. Fasano clears it out. Kelsey comes underneath. 2.37 seconds. Another back shoulder throw to Dwayne Ball. 1.7 seconds. As a pass rusher, that's going to be very frustrating not being able to get to the quarterback.
You just can't get to him. This is Charles. To the 12. And Dewan Landry making the tackle, make it 2nd and 1. This is an unbelievable stat, Trent.
Well, and when you think about the name, look at the names on there. I mean, it's incredible to think that Jamaal Charles, and he's done it for a long period of time, and it's not like he just snuck onto this chart. He's been on this chart for a number of years, and the fact that he's able to maintain it has been what's impressed me.
On 2nd and 1, the quick slant, and that is incomplete. Broken up at the 5-yard line, intended for Bowe, broken up by Marcus Williams. So it'll be 3rd and 1.
This pass intended for
we talked about Marcus Williams and the fact that he's a college free agent. Here he is covering Dwayne Bowe on a slant. Nice job getting that ball out of there and causing pressure. We mentioned not really attacking him at all, and now you can understand why, making those types of plays.
So 3rd and 1. Niall Davis in the backfield. 12th play of this drive. Davis, first down, inside the 10-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal. Williams coming up from the secondary to make the stop, but not in time to prevent a first down.
That run good for a Kansas City Chiefs.
Now Davis has a good burst to him. He's a different style of runner than Jamaal Charles. He has some power. You can see his stature is different than Jamaal Charles, but he does possess a lot of speed. That time just slipping once he tries making the cut to the outside, but he had already picked up the first down.
So the Chiefs 1st and goal at the Jets' 9-yard line. $100 yards rushing on the day for the Chiefs. Play fake, throwing, diving, catch, no, incomplete. Now he's going to be marked, that's going to be marked a completion and then down on the ground. So Dwayne Bowe with the dive. Hits the ground,
Second down and goal.
and then the ball popped out.
Yeah, the call on the field will stand. It looks like he has possession of the ball. He's not bobbling it as he goes to the ground. Contact is made, and then it pops out at the end.
So second and goal from the 4. And Jets have to take a timeout. Personnel coming on and off the field and not nearly in time. Rex is not pleased. All right, this is your town, Trent Green. What's going on? What is that?
That's a glass maze at the Nelson Art Museum, Nelson Atkins Art Museum, and you better pay attention because you'll get lost in there. I have not tried it
Yet.
right.
Second and goal for Kansas City. Jamal Charles shook a tackler in the backfield and made it to about the 1.
He was tackled by Dewan Landry.
Landry and Jarrett making the stop. Third and goal.
Well, the Chiefs have been very consistent with their attempts to run the football, and coming into this game, the Jets defensively only giving up 85 yards per game on the ground. So far today, the Chiefs now at 103 yards rushing. You can see this consistency. It started from the first drive of the ball game that they were going to try running it.
This time Charles into the slot. And the pass is knocked down. Just leaving
Smith's pass incomplete.
Alex Smith's hand. So on fourth and goal, the field goal unit will come on.
And what the Chiefs are trying to do, you see Jamal Charles here. He's going to come out of the backfield and try and sneak into the flat. They got inside routes by the receivers. They're trying to flood. And so when they see the Jets bringing pressure, they're just trying to flood it out to Jamal Charles, and the Jets are able to knock it down.
Demario Davis making the block. So Cairo Santos
18-yard attempt.
will attempt the field goal from 19 yards out. And that kick is good. 5:06 to play in the third quarter. The Chiefs put 3 more on the board and lead the Jets 24-10. 16 play, 75-yard drive, 8 minutes exactly, culminating in the Santos field goal with a 24-10 Chiefs lead. And Jamal Charles doing yeoman-like work as usual. Percy Harvin is deep. And Harvin on the run and overran it. And this one will bounce into the end zone for the touchback. So the Jets and the Chiefs. The Jets looking to snap a 7-game losing streak. They'll have the ball after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by 2 for $20 fan favorites, only at Applebee's. And by TD Ameritrade.
From the New York 20-yard line.
Back at Arrowhead Stadium, and the Jets practiced with noise much of this week for situations just like this. In fact, it's been pretty steadily noisy since early in the first half. On first down, Vick eludes a tackle. Now throws, has his man open, and that's complete across the 40 to the 45-yard line. Chris Johnson.
Vick's pass complete to Chris Johnson. He was tackled by Eric Berry.
They go from a play-action pass. They're trying to get Vick. You're going to see as he fakes the ball to Percy Harvin. He's trying to roll out to his left. Tom Hali is right there to make the tackle. Vick extends the play and is able to find Chris Johnson.
26-yard pickup. The Jets now from their own 46. Vick again. That pass is complete. Midfield and into Kansas City territory to the 45 goes Percy Harvin.
Complete to Percy Harvin.
And This is just the first serving today. Later on today, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning facing off.
Greatest quarterback rivalry, maybe in history. This one is going to be one for the ages.
Denver, New England from Foxborough. Also Oakland at Seattle here on CBS. 2nd and 1. Chris Johnson gets the first down. Still on his feet, and forward progress will be marked at about the 42-yard line.
The ball carrier.
When I had a chance to talk to Bob Sutton, defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who worked 13 years with the Jets and gives a lot of credit to that man, Rex Ryan. And Bob was talking about just the defensive philosophy. He wants to play with speed and force. He continually tells his defense speed and force. And so I brought up the fact that they haven't had many turnovers defensively, that defense has only created 5 takeaways on the year. And he said the reason is you lose a Derek Johnson. They've been without Eric Berry for a large chunk of the season. He needs more bodies to the football, the more guys that can rally to the football. So if something does happen, you have guys there to make the play.
Play clock was winding down, and Michael Vick did not have time to get the play off, so they use a timeout. 3:01 to play in the third. New York Jets are down to 1 timeout remaining here in the second half, and we still have 3:01 to play in the third. First down, Jets at the Kansas City 42. Vick to throw. Harvin. And Harvin forced out of bounds a couple of yards short of the first down by James Michael Johnson.
Tackled by James Michael Johnson.
Harvin will be here working across the field. They're just in zone coverage. You can see James Michael Johnson tried driving as quickly as he could, able to catch up to Harvin before he can pick up the first down.
Harvin takes a breather. 3 tight ends now for the Jets on 2nd and 1. They will give it to Johnson straight ahead, and Johnson inside the 25 to about the 23-yard line. Tamba Hali with the stop.
The Jets overload the right side of their line, and here they give the ball to Chris Johnson right up the middle. He cuts it back, finds the crease, and is able to pick up the first down. With it first down here, just outside the 20-yard line, look for a shot to the end zone.
Vick giving it to Harvin, and Harvin to about the 15-yard line. As we come up on a minute and a half remaining, a reminder, Thursday on CBS, Holmes and Watson are back, and this week it's a case of mind over matter. Don't miss a new Elementary, Thursday at 10, 9 Central only. CBS.
2nd down and 3 from the 16-yard line.
Another short yardage situation for the Jets on 2nd down. This is Johnson. Johnson breaking outside, has room to run to the 5, diving. Did he get there? No, they say he stepped out at the 3. Eric Berry forced him out.
Keep an eye on Chris Johnson's left foot. They marked him out. They marked him out back at the 4-yard line. It looked like his right foot went out around the 2-yard line as well. There's 1's out, 2's out. I don't know how they marked it at the 3. I guess they played the law of averages.
Basically,
left foot was at the 4, right foot was at the 2. Let's just mark it at the 3.
Bilal Powell taking the snap. Powell with the keeper and not going anywhere up the middle. Maybe a yard.
Bilal Powell, the ball carrier. No gain on the play.
We mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. The Chiefs, just how stout they've been at the defense and not giving up rushing touchdowns.
2nd down and 3.
Trent, what's the advantage of a running back taking the snap directly as opposed to taking the handoff from the quarterback?
It's got to just be trickery. It's got to be anything other than, hey, you know what, Michael Vick's out in space. Let's get him away from the line of scrimmage, direct snap. It's really no different. I would rather have the ball in Michael Vick's hand personally.
And before they get this snap off, we come to the end of 3. 24-10, Kansas City. Back after this message and a word from your local station. Back at Arrowhead Stadium, along with our producer Bob Monsbach, our director Suzanne Smith, Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Evan Washburn. We start the fourth quarter. Kansas City with a 24-10 lead. The Chiefs, the only team in the NFL yet to allow a rushing touchdown. 2nd and goal for the Jets. Vick lost the football and fell on it. Just as I was dangerously close to saying that we have not had a turnover on either side yet today.
Well, in that time, it was just the read. They're trying to put the ball into Chris Johnson, and as Vick pulls it out, he was definitely keeping it. It wasn't even a read option thing because you could see Percy Harvin dart in front of him. It was supposed to be Vick keeping it to the right, rolling out to the right, and having Decker flood the back of the end zone and Percy underneath. Now they have no choice but to throw this ball.
So now Bilal Powell in the backfield. The pass is to Decker, and Decker inside the 5. He's going to be racked up at about the 3.
Vick's pass complete to Eric Decker.
So you're Rex Ryan, and you're riding a 7-game losing streak. What do you do, Trent?
Well, I kicked the field goal here, and the interesting thing is talking to Rex last night, we said, are you going to coach this game any differently at 1-7 than you would normally? He said, no, I coach each game individually. I don't care what my record is. I'm coaching to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not trying to get a win in, and I think that you go ahead and kick the field goal. You're going to need the 2 touchdowns anyway. You got to come away with some points.
Well, he's going to go for it on 4th down.
Well, you have to pass the football. They haven't been effective running it down here.
Vick holding, brings it down, throwing, too short. There's a penalty marker in the end zone.
They're going to call offensive pass interference. At least that's what they're initially indicating, as Michael Vick is slow to get up.
And now Vick to his feet and walking off the field. With a little help.
Pass interference. Offense, number 88. This penalty is declined. The result of the play was an incomplete pass. Turns the ball over to Kansas City. 1st down.
So the jet drive stalls in the red zone. Vick working to the sideline.
87 on the offensive pass.
Okay, they initially said Amaro here in the backfield, but they changed it up and said it was going to be on Decker.
So Decker trying to break free, but is this a pick right here?
Here he is again, and they're going to call him with a hip check right there. He puts a little arm out. Generally, that's not called unless you extend your arms or you turn and you make a specific block. They don't call that. That's a tough call for the Jets.
So from deep in their own territory, Smith throwing to Junior Hemingway, and Hemingway
Smith's pass complete
out to about the 7-yard line, and Matt Sims begins to warm up.
He was tackled by DeJuan Landry.
Well, Sims just brought up off the practice squad because Geno Smith wasn't able to
Gain of 4 yards on
to
the
play today.
2nd down, and
here's that 4th down play, and Sims, or rather Vick, brought it down and was hit hard just before he hit the turf by Josh Malga.
You see him immediately grab his head, and that's never a good sign.
That carry is by Jamal Charles.
Jamal Charles, the ball carrier.
And those of you who have been watching San Diego, Miami, welcome to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Chiefs lead the Jets 24-10. Michael Vick starting this game for the New York Jets at quarterback, but was just hit on the field, and now Matt Sims, the backup quarterback, today just brought up from the practice squad, loosening up on the sideline. We'll see if he comes in. 3rd and 3. Alex Smith throws far side of the field, complete. First down across the 15 to the 17-yard line. Dwayne Bowe with the catch.
Well, they're going to call a horse collar on this, on the tackle. Flag coming in late.
Tony Correnti.
Completed pass, but on the tackle, personal foul, horse collar tackle, defense number 22. This 15-yard penalty will be added for the end of the play. First down.
Watch 22 Marcus Williams there. He comes up with the right hand, and
easy to call.
That's an easy one for the officials to see, because you see the jersey extend, you see the pads extend, and then of course with Dwayne Bowe's legs flipping out the way they did, they're going to call that.
So first down for the Chiefs, and Jamal Charles in the backfield along with quarterback Alex Smith, and Smith to throw. It's Charles, and he's brought down at the 30-yard line by Muhammad Wilkerson. In the first half, deflected pass right into the arms of Anthony Fasano. Eric Decker on the receiving end of a 3-yard touchdown, but Travis Kelce, a 12-yard touchdown catch. And then just a few moments ago, Michael Vick hitting the turf hard, and we'll see if he comes out for the next offensive possession. Smith throwing far side of the field again, incomplete. Let's check in with Evan Washburn. Evan.
Well, guys, you saw Michael Vick take that hard hit. He came to the sideline, spoke with athletic trainers and doctors. I saw them take his helmet away, and he's still being evaluated. No official word on what exactly he's being evaluated with, but I did see athletic trainers take his helmet away, and Matt Sims continues to warm up here on the sideline. As soon as I have something official, I'll let you know.
All right, Evan, thanks. 3rd and 12. Smith throwing, complete, and lost ball. And it's marked down after Demetrius Harris had it, lost it, recovered it, marked down at the 35-yard line. That'll be short of a first down. And Michael Vick is going to head to the locker room.
Receiving for New York. In punt formation for Kansas City, Dustin.
Well, and someone that's suffered a couple of concussions myself, it's never good when you see the back of a helmet or the back of the head, the way that Michael Vick's did, the way it hit the ground, and then you see him immediately clutch his head. It's encouraging, though, to see him jogging off the field.
Jeremy Curley back at his own 15-yard line. Colquitt's kick, returnable from the 25. Curley out of bounds at about the 35, and a penalty marker is down.
Jeremy Curley on the return. There's a flag on the play.
That might have been about as blatant a block from behind as I've ever seen, Trent.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious. I want to say it was Kyle Wilson that they're going to call on it, but
During the return of the kick, holding receiving team number 15. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that's really generous. Matt Sims at quarterback after this. Hey, coming up after the game, time permitting, the NFL Today update presented by LGG3. Join JB and company for all the latest scores and highlights. And Matt Sims seeing action in his 4th NFL game. The youngest son of our friend and colleague Phil Sims, in his first action of this season. This is Ivory for a couple. A word from the Jets. Michael Vick suffered a head injury. His return is questionable. Geno Smith inactive today due to a shoulder injury, which is why we're seeing Matt Sims in the game right now.
Well, for Matt Sims, a lot of people around the country may be saying, what a terrible situation. Coming in the 4th quarter, 10 minutes to go, down 2 scores, down 14 points. I say as a young guy, you have nothing to lose now. Come out there, you can be fearless, fire that ball, come out flying and around the field, and You'll feel good about your decisions.
In his second season out of Tennessee. And he'll throw far side of the field, and that's complete. Right at the first down marker to Eric Decker for first down. And by the way, there's something for Eric Decker to tweet. Eric Decker caught up in an unbelievable maelstrom back in New York. He had to tweet it out, asked fans what they thought of the Jets, and of course the responses on a 7-game losing streak weren't very good, and then Eric's wife joined in the fracas. It wasn't pretty. Matt Sims throwing over the middle. That's complete to Percy Harvin. Harvin, another first down. Across to midfield. Lost the football. Covered by Kansas City. Let's see if they mark it down by contact or if that is a turnover.
The way it's called on the field is it's a turnover. That's contact. He's down. Ground caused the fumble. They're gonna reverse that. I think they're going to reverse it. Arms extended. He's down. The ball pops out.
Well, on the turnover, they will look at it.
I think it's pretty clear, but I'm wrong a lot, Greg.
8:48 to play in the fourth. We'll have that decision after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the all-new LG G3, the world's first smartphone with laser autofocus. New York Life Insurance Company. And by the all-new 2015 Acura TLX. It's that kind of thrill.
Tony Correnti has just announced that the receiver was down by contact. Let's bring in Mike Carey from New York. Any doubt in your mind, Mike?
No, guys, it was pretty obvious. There was a touch, and then the left knee hit while he had full control. This should be a routine one, as it was for Tony.
All right, thank you. And gosh, even Trent was just 100% absolutely.
So basically, Mike just said, "Hey, even Trent got even Trent could get that one right." That's perfect, Mike. That's perfect. Thank you.
So the Jet drive stays alive at their own 49-yard line. It's a first down. Matt Sims to throw again. Complete underneath to Percy Harvin again. And he'll be marked forward progress to about the Kansas City 43.
He was tackled by Eric.
And I like what they're doing with Matt Sims. They're giving him a chance to throw the football. He came out, he showed his arm strength throwing that hits to the far side, put it right on the money as the defensive back's driving on. The last two pass plays have been crossing routes that he's shown touch and accuracy, putting his receivers in good positions.
Again, Michael Vick injured. Geno Smith inactive today. Matt Sims under pressure and got rid of it in the face of a huge rush by the Chiefs.
There is no intentional grounding. It's number 21.
So it'll be 3rd and 2. And Justin Houston, boy, we expect big days from him, don't we?
Well, this time the Jets have 3 guys in position to block him. That's how much they're worried about him. But with the other pressure causing Vic to step up in the pocket, Justin's able to pick up the NFL leading sack number 11. And now one-on-one with Giacomini, he's able to get sack number 12 on the season.
3rd and 2. Powell looking for the first down, and it will be very close. Very close.
He was tackled by Justin Houston.
And they will take a measurement here with 7:40 to play in regulation. Are the Jets in 4-down territory?
Definitely. I know you want to obviously have the first down, and it appears it may be a little bit short, but this isn't, whether it's 2 inches short or 2 feet short, you've got to go for it on 4th down.
It looks like it could be a good yard shy of the first down. So call it 4th and 1.
from the 42-yard line. It's 4th down.
So on 4th and 1, Chris Ivory in the backfield. Sims going to keep it and bull his way forward. And from the initial spot, it looks like he got the first down.
Yeah, it appears he got low enough and had his legs driving hard enough, and following right behind Willie Colon there, the right guard.
1st and 10 Jets at the Kansas City 41-yard line.
So the drive stays alive for the Jets. They are now at the Kansas City 40. Seven minutes to play in regulation. Sims going to go deep. Down this near sideline, incomplete. Pass intended for Jeff Cumberland, the tight end.
Pass intended for Jeff Cumberland.
It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, that's an interesting choice. Jeff Cumberland, the tight end, matched one-on-one with Philip Gaines on the outside, and Gaines is probably the fastest defender that the Chiefs have on the field right now. But taking that size matchup, seeing Cumberland, physical presence, hoping for a jump ball to get him in position to win. Nice coverage by Gaines, and Sims just trying to make a play up the field.
Sims 3 out of 5 throwing the ball. And that went off the fingertips of Curley. Third and 10.
I think you have to continue to try and throw the football here. You're at 6:44, down by 2 touchdowns. You don't have to pick up the entire first down because you're in 4-down territory. So it's important just to get a chunk of this back to make it more manageable. You don't need to take a shot. If the shot's there, don't be afraid to take it, but you don't need to take a shot. You just need to keep this drive going.
You saw defensive coordinator Bob Sutton of the Kansas City Chiefs, 13 years an assistant with the New York Jets. 3rd and 10. Deep drop. Sims over the middle, incomplete. Percy Harvin is intended receiver.
Sims pass intended for Percy Harvin.
Watch the pressure the Chiefs bring right up the middle.
He was pressured by Kurt Coleman.
The receiver read one thing, thought he was going to sit down in the zone. He saw it, he could see the defender out in front of him. And
4th and 10.
Once again, I anticipate some pressure here. Bob Sutton's not just going to sit back and play catch with his defenders, especially with an inexperienced quarterback.
Here they come. Sims hit as he threw, incomplete over the middle. Intended for Jeremy Curley, but in on that Sims was Hussein Abdullah. 6:35 to play. Ball goes over to the Chiefs on downs. Mike Vick back on the field. Let's go down to Evan.
Well, guys, quick update. Vick headed in the locker room with 10:14 left in the 4th. He's returned to the sideline. Still does not have his helmet. He was frustrated right now. He is speaking with Sims, but no helmet. No official word on his availability, but he is back without his helmet.
Yeah, thank you, Evan. He was looking pretty upset that he wasn't headed back into the game, at least not in the very near future. Week 9 continues later today here on CBS and for some of you on Fox, and then tonight with the Ravens and the Steelers on NBC, and tune in tomorrow for the Colts and the New York Giants on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Yeah, that's just simply a medical decision on the part of the staff that Michael Vick has done. We saw Michael Vick when he first came back and went up to Marty Morningweg.
And he was frustrated. He went up and he tried telling me, we tried reading lips as best we could, and he seemed like he was saying that, I'm ready to go back in. They're just not going to let me, coach. But this is an important time for the Chiefs to try and use up as much clock as they can and try and wind it down with the lead they have.
This is Charles, and Charles gets nowhere as he approaches the 45-yard line.
Ball carrier.
And it'll be 3rd and about 5 yards for a first down. Clock continues to move, coming up on 5.5 to play.
Well, and it's important to remember, Greg, it's important to remember that you mentioned it earlier that the Jets used up 2 of their timeouts already, so they only have 1. And you can see there, Michael's being very, I guess,
demonstrative.
Demonstrative would be the perfect way to describe that.
They get 3rd and 6. That's DeAnthony Thomas in motion. Smith throwing, and that pass is incomplete, intended for Travis Kelce, broken up by Josh Thomas. And so the Chiefs will kick it away, and the Jets will get their hands on the ball again. 5:03 to play here in the fourth quarter.
Jeremy Curley receiving for New York. Justin Colquitt in punt formation.
Now Michael Vick walking around with his helmet, and I don't know if that's just trying to convince the coaching staff that he wants to be back.
I don't know. He put it on, so I don't. He convinced somebody. I don't. This is a different situation. Everybody wants to go back, and immediately comes to my mind is Tony Romo's situation where he argued his way back into the game after the back injury. But this is different when you're talking about head injuries.
Colquitt got that one away, and Curley makes the fair catch at the 10-yard line. And number one, is he coming onto the field? Looks like he is.
45-yard punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway Restaurants. Get your own big hot pastrami melt at Subway. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
So back at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Michael Vick with his helmet on in the huddle
The New York 10-yard line.
as the Jets start from their own 10. Geno Smith, inactive again today, we told you before, with a shoulder injury. Vick, this side of the field, Decker with the catch and out of bounds. Forward progress is going to be marked at about the 17-yard line. Michael Vick took the hit not too long ago. Watch the back of his head bounce off the turf. Went to the locker room.
2 from the 18-yard line.
Came back insisting on playing. And Trent, you have to figure he passed the test that they administered in the locker room.
With the new protocol, you have to have gone through. That's why they take him to the locker room, to get through that protocol, and he obviously passed it and is back out on the field.
Vick diving across the 20 to the 22-yard line and a first down for the Jets. A reminder, up next, Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Peyton and Brady meeting for the 16th time in a clash of division leaders, Broncos and the Patriots, or the Raiders and the Seahawks, next here on CBS. 4 minutes to play. Vick with time going deep, far sideline for Harvin. What a catch made by Percy Harvin.
Big pass complete to Percy Harvin.
Percy Harvin working one-on-one down the sideline against Sean Smith, who's in position. Harvin's able to come up, not only make the catch, keep both feet in bounds, and secure the ball as he's going to the ground to finish the catch.
Time out on the field for an injured player.
And limped off onto the sideline. Meanwhile, Sean Smith is injured on the far side of the field.
Harvin's on the outside one-on-one with Smith. When you're down 14 with under 4 minutes to go, you have to take some shots up the field. For the most part, everything has been underneath for Michael Vick today, but he is sitting at 14 of 16 for 141 yards, 1 touchdown and no interceptions.
His first 100-yard receiving game since the 2012 season. If you're up 14, how do you let a guy behind you if you're in the secondary?
Exactly.
A reminder for you, with NFL Mobile, stream live local Sunday afternoon primetime games and NFL Red Zone right on your mobile device. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile. 3:35 to play. Marcus Cooper replaces Sean Smith on the corner. That pass to the far side of the field and out of bounds. Jeremy Curley knocked out by Eric Berry.
We just mentioned it a second ago, but Percy Harvin, 9 catches, 109 yards, and the Jets were a little subtle when talking about, we're going to utilize Percy a little bit more, get him a little bit more involved, but obviously the 9 catches is a big number.
This is Chris Johnson. Johnson breaking out left side and ducks inside the 30 to about the 29.
Well, that's I'm scratching my head a little bit on that. You can understand the short passes where you're able to get out of bounds and stop the clock, but that time running the ball, you only have 1 timeout left. They had to burn 2 already in this half. Now you're going to run an inside run play on 2nd and 7. That keeps the clock running, and you're down 14. You need 2 scores.
3rd and 4. Quick pass slant, incomplete. Off the fingertips of the tight end, Cumberland.
It's intended for Jeff Cumberland.
And it'll be 4th and 4.
From the 29-yard line, it's 4th down.
Here comes the noise.
I said it earlier, getting Vic out in space. I know they've kept him in the pocket most of the time, but get him out in space. Let him make that dual threat with his legs or throwing the ball.
Vic under pressure. On the move. Throwing. Nobody there.
Vic's pass incomplete.
And it looks like Michael Vick ran right into Andy Reid on the near sideline.
They had a little moment there right after that play.
Yes, they did.
Watch the pressure that the Chiefs are going to bring with their front line here. They're going to bring all these guys up front, getting after Vick, and Michael's able to step up and work his way to the sideline. Josh Malgas, who's in hot pursuit there, and there's nowhere for him to go with that ball.
Kansas City at the Chiefs' 29-yard line.
And right there, the Andy Reid. You could tell talking to Andy Reid the feelings that he has for Michael Vick.
Well, and even Michael, when we had a chance to talk to him last night, you could just see his entire emotions change. Just the fondness that he has for Andy Reid and how much Andy means, not just as a football coach, but as a person in his life.
After Vick spent 20-some-odd months in prison, and Andy Reid said that was a tough thing to go through, and he was there for Michael Vick. Jets used their last timeout to stop the clock with 2:41 to play. A reminder, this week Thursday Night Football takes you to the AFC North. The Browns taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL's hotly contested AFC North. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on NFL Network. You know, going back to that conversation with Andy Reid about Michael Vick, he said to see what he was going through, and admittedly it was a situation of his own making, but he says that's not an easy thing. Not an easy thing.
Well, and the thing it does is it confirms or establishes, you know, the people that mean a lot to you and who comes to visit you and who's with you through the whole process. And, you know, and Andy just...
That pass to the near side intended for Dwayne Bowe. Why would the Kansas City Chiefs throw the football?
That I'm not sure of, because if you run the ball there, you're getting to the 2-minute warning. The Jets are out of timeout, so you can get it to the 2-minute warning. You can run one more play and get it down. The most the Jets would have would be 1 minute and 20 seconds to try and get 2 touchdowns. So this is really worked into the Jets' favor with that incomplete pass.
By the way, down on the field prior to the game, it was like old home week between these two teams. The coaches and a couple of the players that have had their careers cross over the years.
And talking to the two staffs, that and another pass by the Chiefs.
And finally, Alex Smith goes to the deck. And
that was the smartest decision you could have made.
Jason Babin on the sack.
And so the Chiefs will kick it away, but before they do, this will take us to the 2-minute warning.
Well, we said how unusual this game would be when you have both staffs familiar, that both sides are running the same offense, both sides are running the same defense, very similar in terminology and usage.
Let's take a timeout, 2 minutes to play here in Kansas City. 24-10. Jets need a block punt here, Trent.
I think you have to come after and pressure Dustin Colquitt. He did have one block last year against Jacksonville. Hasn't had one block this season. But you're 2 scores down, 2 minutes to go. Got to try and get the field position with the block.
He's had 4 blocked and 770-plus career punts. Curley is deep.
And they've overloaded this entire side of the line. You can see the number of bodies on that side.
Got it away. And it sails out of bounds short of the 25-yard line. So 1:53 on the clock, and here comes Michael Vick, and while he gets set Tomorrow on CBS, tune in to see why critics are calling Scorpion brainy fun. Don't miss the new hit drama Scorpion tomorrow at 9, 8 Central, only CBS. The Jets out of timeouts.
From the New York 28-yard line.
Kansas City, all 3 of its timeouts remaining. They're not likely to call any. A reminder coming up next. Denver in New England. And that pass is complete across the 40 out to the 43-yard line to Decker.
I think at this point in time, the Chiefs will be content sitting back in coverage, just rallying, making the tackle. Keep that clock moving.
Vick stepping up, throwing in, almost intercepted on the near side of the field. Decker was near,
Intended for Eric Decker.
but Ron Parker was closer.
Well, and that's one of those ones Ron Parker will come back, and
Ron Parker.
because they're up by 14 points, it's going to be a lot of good-natured ribbing that he takes in the locker room. The Chiefs ultimately go on and win this thing. And
quick pass to Decker on the near side, and Decker hit
Big pass complete to Eric Decker.
by Parker and by Hussein Abdullah.
Tackled by Ron Parker.
Coming up on a minute 15 to play.
From the 48-yard line.
And the Jets staring at an 8-game losing streak. Now the quick pass to the far side of the field, and this is Harvin. And Harvin inside the 40-yard line as we have 1 minute to play.
if you're the Jets, you almost have to take a shot to the end zone if you're not going to clock it. You're now under 50 seconds before this ball's even snapped.
Vick pulls it down, throws to the sideline, and that is complete to Harvin once again.
Pass complete to Percy Harvin.
And 42 seconds on the clock. Chiefs travel to Buffalo next week. Then they have Seattle, Oakland, Denver, Arizona, Oakland again, Pittsburgh, and San Diego. They will certainly gain ground on the Chargers today. Vick throwing a quick one to Decker, and Decker inside the 30.
Big pass complete.
Miami is leading the San Diego Chargers 37-0 in the fourth quarter.
We showed that little clip earlier of Justin Houston getting after the quarterback. That time they're rushing the quarterback, sees the screen, and goes out and makes the tackle of Eric Decker on the wide receiver screen. He's all over the place.
Vick looking deep, throwing deep, and incomplete. On the far side of the field, intended for Greg Salas, and guarded by Sean Smith. Meanwhile, as the Jets look to snap what is now going to be an 8-game losing streak, they will host Pittsburgh next week. Then get a bye. And the voices that have been calling for Rex Ryan's head will not be quiet this week.
It won't be, and you know, you get into the bye week, it could even stir up more with Pittsburgh next week, and then you have 2 weeks, a 2-week cycle there with the bye week coming in.
Vick throws this side, that's complete and out of bounds to Decker.
Vick's pass complete to Eric Decker.
So you give the Chiefs the win in the AFC West. Denver still to play
9 yards on the play.
at New England.
1st and 10 Jets at the Kansas City 21-yard line.
And that's not including the San Diego loss.
Meanwhile, in the AFC East, the Jets just looking up at everybody. They will leave Kansas City with a 1-8 record. Vick throwing back of the end zone, too far, and that'll do it.
Final score, Chiefs 24, Jets.
The Kansas City Chiefs make it 3 in a row and winners of 5
Chiefs organization
of their last 6 games.
Today's win over the New York Jets. We look forward to seeing you back at Arrowhead Stadium on November 16th.
Our final score, Kansas City 24 and the New York Jets 10. Coming up next, the Denver Broncos and New England Patriots.